Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing so-called golden visas. These have also been described as the long-term residence visa, a bit of a misnomer as we've discussed, not really providing permanent residence in Thailand, just a really long 10-year visa, sometimes also called LTR visas. But I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Pattaya Mail, that's pattayamail.com. Article is titled, Pattaya's Retirees Unlikely to Apply for a Golden Visa. And I'm going to quote an excerpt out of here. I urge folks who are watching this video, if you're really interested in this, read that article in detail. A lot of good information in there. Quoting directly, others concurred, and in this article, there's some interviews with various expats and things talking about this new LTR visa. Quoting further, others concurred, quote, why anyone would want to invest so much money in an LTR when there are much cheaper annual retirement options or even the elite visa, I just don't know, unquote, said Joachim Meyer. He pointed out that the LTR perks, such as being exempt from 90-day reporting or reentry permits, weren't worth the entry requirements. Now, as we've noted in other videos, I don't know where everybody's getting this. There's no 90-day reporting or reentry permits on these so-called LTR visas, because nobody's shown me in the law, specifically on 90-day reporting with respect to the Immigration Act of 1979, where there's the exemption, because it says there's permanent residence, which is PR, that's its own process, and then there's non-immigrant visas, there's everything else. And everything else, that if you're not a permanent resident or a citizen, if you're on a non-immigrant visa, you got to do 90-day reporting. So I don't know, that's in the law, that's just in the statute. So I don't know where they're getting this notion that that's being exempt. As to reentry permits, maybe that can be done on, well, if it's a multi-entry visa, then the reentry permit is sort of built in, I guess you could say. Quoting further, quote, not to mention the LTR registration charge of 50,000 baht and the requirement annual medical insurance of US $50,000, which are not required for most other visas. Yeah. That's a big one. That's a sticking point we've seen with a lot of folks on the OA retirement visa. I've seen a lot of people who've got issues with the OA retirement visa. And meanwhile, this LTR visa has an insurance requirement associated with it. Now, we've speculated in the past about whether or not the O retirement visa would have an insurance requirement. That does not seem to have come to pass. I don't foresee it happening anytime in the relatively near foreseeable future. So I think everybody can kind of rest easy on that. But yeah, these LTR visas, a real sticking point, especially with retirees, seems to be the requirement for insurance. And there are other visas that do not have this requirement as well. For example, a standard business visa doesn't have an insurance requirement, as does an LTR visa. So again, I'm not making these videos necessarily to just run down the LTR visa. I've kind of been asked that. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'm ambivalent about it. It's not, I don't think in those terms. It's just, I have seen in the past where these things get touted as sort of a major game changer, the end-all be-all, a great boon for expats. And yes, it can be. But oftentimes it's to a much narrower subset of folks than it initially appears to be. And I'm thinking that's probably going to be the way the LTR thing plays out. Is at the, we saw this with smart visas to a lesser extent. We saw it with the 10-year retirement visa. Yeah, there may be some people that really benefit from this, but overall, it's probably going to be a fairly small subset of folks who are living here in Thailand.